So the miseducation of blacks. I got more Rhetoric coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logical Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So I have more Rhetoric for y'all. Miseducation of black people, an example of fictitious notion. Again, a bunch of nonsense that black folks believe that's just simply not true. Now, what is miseducation? It's the act of educating someone in something that's incorrect or in an incorrect way. Now, I will say that miseducation is a thing, it's a real thing. But today I did not ask two questions. I have two questions I have to ask. So how are black folks being miseducated in America, and what is it stopping them from doing achievement? What is a black person being held back from doing achievement in this country because of miseducation, number one? And then number two, how is miseducation only directed at black people? How exactly are black people the only ones in this country that's being miseducated? Now, I've heard that black leftists say that feminism was something that was used to miseducate black women. Well, the feminist movement was been mostly directed at white women. So then wouldn't that have also miseducated white women as well? And then how is that a race thing? It's miseducating women in general, not black women. There's nothing racism about the feminist movement. Again, they just drag race into everything. Now, in reality, if we want to be true, miseducation is just nothing but yet another excuse to justify bad behavior. When someone is conducted in bad behavior, or typically black people operating bad behavior, they'll just say, well, it was miseducation by the white man. We're not going to take personal responsibility in our behavior, what we're doing. Well, it's the white man that miseducated us. Well, here's not a problem with that, though, is that everyone can use that excuse. Everyone can use that excuse in their bad behavior. They can find out some way to blame some group of people or something for their bad behavior and not take personal responsibility for it. For instance, when black people cry about slavery all the time, well, all white people have to do is just say, well, we were miseducated into owning slaves because it was just part of the dynamic of life in America. Plus, the slave ship. The people who were on the ship that went to Africa to bought the slaves, they could easily say, well, we were miseducated into buying the slaves by the blacks who sold us the slaves. They miseducated on us into buying these slaves and giving them goods for the slave. The fact is any white person in America can just say, well, our ancestors were miseducated into owning slaves. Then there's Jim Crow. Again, Jim Crow is a culture. So all white people have to do is say, well, it was just miseducated. We grew up into this. We were miseducated into Jim Crow, separate but equal. So you can't blame us because we were miseducated in it. We were miseducated into that just as much as you claim black folks are miseducated today. Now, of course, black folks are not going to accept that, but then want everyone else to accept their cries of miseducation. Anytime blacks cry about this nonsense, though, like I say, you should not accept it. I don't accept that foolishness, because anytime you accept this, all you're doing is just giving black folks more excuse to be victims in America. And if you really truly care about basically about blacks getting better in America, then you wouldn't accept this behavior no more than you as a parent would accept bad behavior from your children. You no way you could say, if your children were caught stealing in the store and your child say, well, my friends talked me into doing it, how many parents are going to accept that from their child? First thing they're going to say, well, you shouldn't have listened to it. If they jump off a bridge, are you going to follow them too? Are you going to jump with them? You know, no parent is not going to accept that. So we should not accept this foolishness of miseducation. At the end of the day, you are responsible for your behavior. You are responsible for how you act, and you cannot use, someone talked me into it, there's an excuse. If you go let somebody talk you into robbing a bank with them, and you get arrested and caught, y'all get caught, you're not going to be able to stand before the judge and say, Judge, they talked me into doing it. because you are responsible for your behavior. Anyway, y'all, if you ever hear any one of these black victims crying about miseducation, well, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. And as always, y'all, until next time.